Energy consumption is changing. Electric cars are becoming in thing. I think recently you've seen people like Mahindras and even Tatas are investing a huge amount of money in electric cars. You must have heard a lot about air taxis, self-driven cars, quadrupters. I mean, you're going to have self-driven cars and self-driven even the air taxis. Tatas and Mahindras, as I said, working very much. Dubai has also introduced GPS monitored taxis. It's not too far that it's going to happen in India too. There are lots of complications, of course, but definitely it's going to happen in India too. Today, the gap between India and the rest of the world in terms of development is not too much. Earlier, we used to say it used to be 10 years. Today, it's like hardly a few months. Sometimes it may be first time in India and China and other places sometime later. In financial systems, a lot of changes have been brought about in India. We are undergoing a lot of pain also because of those kinds of changes that have happened. The country has done, for example, a big experiment in demonetization, has received a lot of criticism. But I think everybody would have pluses and minuses in their own perspectives, positive and negative perspective about issues like demonetization. But you have to look at it beyond. As adults, most of us we have our own mind to think. We can think and understand what the positives and negatives of each one of those and not be carried away every time by some other perspectives. But it will definitely move away from cash transaction to digital transactions. It is fairly well known that the developed countries don't do large sums of transactions on cash. It's only in India we do that, a lot of them in cash. And that is what has led to a lot of black markets and a lot of black economy as such. And there's a need to curb that, and that's going to happen over a period of time. You can see today the ads of Paytm is coming in. Like, it's not 2,500, it's 2.5 lakhs, and huge sums of money can move electronically from one account to another account. So it's a huge challenge, especially for people in the MBA in financial management, to understand how you take care of the security of these transactions and how you make sure that there are no problems related to any kind of robbery that could happen on the digital transactions. There are a lot of innovations that happens as far as digitization of the financial world is concerned. We are going to see more of it. Amazing ones are going to happen. But we also have to be a little beware about not entering into a lemon kind of a situation which happened in the world over. I don't know if most of you, at least the business management students, are watching some of the channels which talk about the bank frauds. It's so scary for an adult like me to understand how banks could have faltered so much deliberately for so long. Thousands and thousands of crores have been siphoned off very badly. And I think there's a need, therefore, to move into a little more of robust technology in terms of managing these things. Another important thing is going to be education and health delivery system. My dear friends, in fact, this is one thing I would like to address to all of you, health especially. Health is a huge question mark in India. We have a long way to go as far as health is concerned. Same is the case of education. Barring cities like Bangalore, Mumbai and other places, there are lots of other places, rural areas, where education is really not reaching out as it should have reached. And unless until you bring them all into the forefront of higher education, it is not possible for us to move forward. And that's why I think these are good challenges that we have to address ourselves. Now, the question is, more and more, of course, girls are also getting educated. Gender sensitization has to happen in a big way. As a father of 2 girl childs, I am appalled to see the kind of news and kinds of things that make as far as India is concerned. North India, South India, somewhere, at least some parts of North India need a huge education in terms of sensitizing them to society and especially gender and treating women and girls more respectfully than what they are actually doing. And that's a serious cause I have. I try to do a lot of that, and any kind of experiments keep on trying to make sure that the girls are getting better treated as far as society is concerned. Now, with all these changes that's happening, one question that comes to our mind is, can India become as rich as USA or Germany or Switzerland? Some statisticians predict that India's GDP will surpass the GDP of USA by 2039. That's about 21 years from now. India will become the largest economy in the world by that time. Can you imagine that? Though Indian GDP may cross that of USA, but the per capita income to match will take a few more decades. Total, because of the population we have, the GDP may cross that of USA, but then the per capita will take some time. But I think most of you who are in the 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, this kind of age, you have a very important role to play. Please believe me when I say this. Because you are the crux of the engine that's going to make India change in the few years to come. You have to make sure, at least we have to make sure that you're not left out in the race. While all things that are happening in your life, it's also important for you to realize, understand, internalize what's happening around in the country, what should happen, and how you can play a big role as far as the development of the country is concerned. Our society has a huge opportunities for all. Believe me when I say huge, huge opportunities. You touch any area because of the sheer size that you have such huge entrepreneurs. Otherwise, where would you have ever imagined that somebody would like to buy, companies like you have the retailers companies that you have, Bansal's a company that was taken over or being taken over, and there are lots of other things. In fact, we keep talking to some of my own class, my students who are from business management or in various places. We do talk about how Trivago is doing, how Make My Trip was doing, and how they were at one point of time, how Red Bus grew in the way it has grown. You take any area, it is possible for you to build a fantastic business around it in India today because of the volume that you have. The volume of people is so large, plus they are digitally connected. It is possible for us to make any kind of business on anything that you want to do. Even from making, if some of you are interested, really, you can come across so many examples of how you can make businesses out of them. Simple things like making films. Can you ever imagine that? There's a guy who came up with a very interesting idea that I can make just small films. See, films we see in large screens, and we see Amitabh Bachchan and others. Maybe I would like to see myself also in a film. I don't mind spending another 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, maybe a couple of lakhs to have a small story woven around me. I like a story, I'll weave a story around me and make a small one. You think there's no market for that? There is a huge market for that. That guy did discover that. You just go to a village or upcountry towns and talk to the people that I can make 5 films. The budget is around 50,000 or so. There will be 5 of them who will come forward. You build it. You make your own living, and you also create a nice method by which you can communicate social problems, solve social problems, maybe build a nice fairy tale story around that person. And I think you know that nowadays, I think when you guys are going to get married, you will see that you can make an event out of your marriage itself. Marriage is a big business by itself, right? And there are people who make stories out of it. So even before the marriage happens, they will treat as if you met your wife or you met your husband, and how was it, what songs we're singing, we're moving around in the trees, and all kinds of things can be packed in to make a movie, and finally you're married, and that's how it is. So it's a nice gift that you can give to yourself or your family. What I'm trying to say is there is no end to what all can happen as far as the media is concerned, as far as health sector is concerned. Health sector is another huge area where you just think of a problem, like we talk about health problem in India. Big problem is that there is no diagnosis that happens. India is obviously, the diabetic capital of the world maybe shortly. But the people, there are hundreds and thousands of people in the rural India who do not monitor their sugar or do not monitor their blood pressure, especially more the pregnant women do not monitor it. It's so important for us to spin a small enterprise around. Just monitor the BP, the sugar, and make sure for pregnant ladies, make sure it gets captured in a database in which can address these issues of giving them some kind of a treatment that is there. Same thing happens with animals, a huge way. People talk about, I think the French persons who had come, I was asking them what kind of areas you see. One of the area, very interesting idea that the person gave was stray dogs, he said. Stray dogs? What about stray dogs? I said, no, stray dogs are so big problem that I never thought stray dog was a problem. But then he says, no, it's a problem, big problem. You have to solve it. I said, there are so much of problems that we have with our own human beings. I don't think I have thought about the stray dogs at all. But yes, he was quite concerned about it, and I can understand. You can look at the there are various NGOs who are working on it. Yes, there are NGOs working. And there's one lady who made a very interesting statement. She said that when I went to the rural areas, I find that many of them would like to have, they were enamored. They were saying, that's what the French girls were saying, that most of the girls in the rural villages were very nice, very happy to see the color of their eyes being blue and green. They wanted their eyes also to have blue and green. So she was saying that I can make small, colored lenses kind of a thing at a very low cost. So any girl wanting to make her eyes blue can make it blue or something like that. I said, very fantastic. The way the beauty parlors are mushrooming all over, maybe you can give them that another idea. In short, what I'm saying is, India is a lovely country today. It's the most happening country as far as the world is concerned. You just have to think about a solution. You can build a huge business around it. And I can share you that I think there's a very big scheme that you have about Akshay Patra, midday meal and all that. I don't know if you've heard of this, but there is fantastic amount of opportunity over there. If you look at midday meal scheme that is there, anything, Indira Canteen, I don't think we need a government to solve the Indira Canteen business, but definitely you can do a midday meal for children like how Akshay Patra does, who's offering meal at 6 rupees or 7 rupees a child, whereas the world body normally talks of $1 per meal. Imagine, I keep telling my own students that just think of that opportunity. You can go to Africa and maybe every part of Africa you can dot Akshay Patras and give them a meal at less than $1. I'm sure you can make huge business out of it. In short, what I'm trying to say is we as a country, we have brilliant minds. All of you have brilliant minds actually. It has only got to be directed in identifying what kind of a social problems we have and whether we can solve that social problem and make a good business out of it. This is what I feel. I mean, people do talk about social entrepreneurship, and that is what we are talking about. We have brilliant minds who come with innovative solutions to the problems we face. I have worked with rural youth who have been inspired to start food revolution in line with Mr. Kurian's Amul, which started white revolution in India. I hope you know that. Through its cooperative movement. Though cooperative movement are having huge problems otherwise, but then there is a huge possibility of solving this problem. You have problems, and you have people like Harish Handa, who's doing yeoman service and providing solar energy to the rural people through his company Selco, right? And just imagine Maruti, when it started in India, nobody ever thought Suzuki was a great company. But in India, Suzuki became a big company. That's what Hondas and Toyotas will laugh or will keep joking to Suzuki. You are not so great maybe in those countries, but in India, you are one of the biggest, 60% market share. Who could have ever thought of? Toyotas and Hondas would love to have that kind of market share. But anyway, it happened because they were able to make a car at less than 5,000 US dollars. It is impossible to think of making any car at less than 5,000 US dollars. It's easy to build a car for 2-3 crores, but it's very difficult to build a car for less than 5,000 US dollars and make it work, get that volume that you have. They've succeeded because of the volume, aspirations. But today, whether Maruti is, now you need a Nexa, right? You need a Nexa to make sure you get a premium image. Otherwise, it's very difficult for Maruti to sell. JLR, Tatas have a JLR, but it has to come separately. Jaguar and Land Rovers, it has to come as a separate model because Tata would have its own brand image related to it. India's advantage is its young population. There's no doubt. It has a very high youth population, which will surpass China's youth population shortly. Demographic dividend has to be exploited to the advantage of the country. It should not be a demographic disaster, as they keep saying. There is a need to scale up models. Please understand this issue. We have solutions. For every problem, we might have a solution. But how do you scale it up so that you become large? That's a big problem that we have in India. Scaling up any innovation is not so easy, especially to make it a business out of it. We do have a large number of institutions to inspire younger generations, and I feel that government should think of some ways by which, for example, here, Christ, I think, you may not believe. I think I was getting tired looking at the number of our degrees that we are being awarded. But look at how many bright young brains you have in the country today. Are we going to utilize them properly, give them a good opportunity, direct them to make good ventures around here? Or are we going to just allow them to go out? I feel it's important for us to get into something like innovations, social innovations, that we have to do it. In other words, unless we solve the problems of the poor, we cannot make our country a strong country. Now, just the last point which I would like to share with you, which some of our own teachers also have shared. From a modest 20 universities in 1950, believe me, in 1950 we just had 20 universities. Today we have 864 universities, 40,026 colleges, enrolling 2 crore 63 lakhs 88,693 students, while 11,669 standalone institutions enroll over 21 lakh 10,341 students. At the same time, 45 central universities enroll around 15 lakh plus at an average of 34,000 students per university. 363 state universities enroll 38 plus lakhs, averaging 10,000 students per unit, while private universities, of which Christ also is one, numbering 234, enroll around 768 students, averaging about 3,284 students, which I think is smaller compared. This is the statistics that we have, which basically tries to say that, but I'm very happy that Christ has something like 20,000 plus students. It's amazing. 20,000 plus is really very high when you talk about the kind of averages that we have. It's a good beginning that we really have. Therefore, I feel, but you look at, there is another very important aspect which all of you students should know. There's something called gross enrollment ratio, if you have heard of that, which basically means a student who passes 10th should go further higher. I mean, 10 plus 2 should go further to go to graduation or engineering or medicine. And you know how much we have in India? Hardly 25%. Do you know how much it is for the other developed countries? 80s and 90%. 98% in certain places. Why is it so low in India? It's only 25%, which means 75% of my people, students who pass 10 plus 2, do not go on to do their graduation, which is not a good sign at all for the country which is growing. Therefore, there is a need for the GR to grow at least to 60% in the next 2 decades. And how do we do that? The greatest challenge here is, while GR needs to be increased, we understand that, the biggest problem we have is in teachers. My dear students, please understand that. We have a huge shortage of teachers. I came across a scary figure. For the interest of the management of Christ, I might say that 20 million students, for around 20 million students in the country, we have just around 0.6 million teachers, giving a student-teacher ratio of 33, 1:33, perhaps the highest in the world. To have a reasonable student-teacher ratio, we need at least another 1.5 million teachers by the end of the 12th plan, which is over. How do we meet this demand? It's not easy. Not only should we train the teachers, but also attract bright young talents like from you people to get into teaching. We need to have a proper manpower policy for recruiting and development of faculty of higher education. I seriously feel the management of Christ University can take this up in a big way. You can really solve the problem of the country in terms of just have only teacher training institutions where you admit a trainer, you admit them for a 2-year period. You give them all training that's required, like how to handle a class. I know, I have heard from teachers, it's very difficult to handle a class of BBA at Christ University, I've heard. Likewise, so if it is so difficult to handle Christ, see, there's nothing wrong in it. It's perfectly fine. I think it's a big challenge to handle a group of students like that because they're all creative, young, high energy. You cannot ask them to lower down their energy or something. It is bound to be there. But to make sure that we are able to address this issue, how many teachers are required? Can you imagine? I need another 1.5 million teachers. Where will I get them by 2022? I don't think it is possible for me to do. So it's seriously, government should think of better institutions. I think institutions like Christ can really come up to the call and make sure that we can definitely address that. I think management of Christ University can think on those lines also. You have done exceptionally well as far as students are concerned. Maybe you can do a lot more service also for the teachers and become one of the proud institutions of the country. I want to conclude with basically these golden rules of Vivekananda, Swami Vivekananda, which basically says, arise, awake, and stop not till you reach the goal. So simple statements, but so difficult to achieve. You try repeating it many times, you will see that. And also to young people like you, I would say, don't forget, please, don't ever forget those who helped you. It could be in your house, it could be your neighbors, more so it could be even your parents, of course. Never forget your parents who have done so much for you. I feel very sorry and pained to see when old generation people are forced to go to old age homes. It's the saddest thing that can ever happen. I would rather kill myself than send my parents to an old age home. I know both my parents are up above, but I had made sure that they don't have to think of going to an old age home. And I feel very bad when people discard their parents when they become old. This should never happen. Love and respect your parents always. You don't know how important your parents are. Only when they are not there, you know. I crave a million times to have my own parents, but it's not possible for me to have them. So therefore, when you have your parents around, please give them as much love and care that you can do. Young children should definitely have a dream. We as teachers should nourish them and let them grow. This is the spirit of India, as I feel. You as young people can carve out a new destiny and make our country a very proud nation in the days to come. I'm so proud to be here, and I'm proud to be at the Christ University's annual convocation. I wish you all the best in your career, and I would love to see you do well and be the brightest stars on the Indian horizon. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to share my thoughts with you. Thank you.
Our Honorable Chancellor, Dr. Father George Ediadil, is a vibrant and dynamic leader who constantly strives to bring out the best in us. Father, it gives me immense pleasure to request you to address the gathering.
Honorable Chief Guest of the Day, Dr. M.S. Subhash, Vice Chancellor Vijayanagara Sri Krishnadevaraya University, Colonel Dr. Father Thomas C. Matthew, our Vice Chancellor, Dr. Father Abraham V.M., the Pro-Vice Chancellor, Dr. Anil Pinto, Registrar, Professor Johnny Joseph, Controller of Examinations, Mr. Jugno Broy, President of the Alumni Association, Deans, Reverend Fathers, staff, parents, and well-wishers. My dear graduates of the Deanery of Commerce and Management, Bachelor of Education, and Master of Social Work, you brought us all together today to celebrate with you your hard-earned achievements. We are all proud of you. Congratulations. This is a very special day in your life as you have crossed another important milestone and are venturing into new avenues of life. The whole campus looks beautiful, lovely, and elegant with your colorful and vibrating presence. The Greek philosopher Aristotle said, "Philosophy starts from wonder. Then the first philosopher is the child." The search for truth lies at the heart of all learning process and the growth and development of human civilizations. The Bible we read, "Unless you become like a child, you will not enter into the kingdom of God." We may say, unless we become like the children, we will never embrace the truth. Born simple and innocent, we ourselves are becoming more and more complex day by day, and hence the truth goes far away from us. About the mystery of truth, Isaac Newton wrote, "I do not know what I may appear to the world, but to myself I seem to have been only like a boy, playing on the seashore, diverting myself in now and then finding a smoother pebble or a prettier shell than the ordinary, whilst the great ocean of truth lay all undiscovered before me." Those who keep wonder and mystery in their heart can embrace truth and realities like a child. For a child, the universe and its varied manifestations are mysteries. My dear Christites, I hope and pray that the years of learning and research did not spoil the child within you. Keep alive the child within you. Then life will be beautiful, enthusiastic, joyful, and hopeful. My dear graduates of commerce, management, education, and social work, you have been trained in very many fields. But whatever we do, we need a human face touched by the divine spark within. Carl Jung said, "Your vision becomes clear only when you can look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens." Let all of you dream with an awakened heart. The last few years you spent in this campus, it is your quality time and quality energy. You surely observed the culture of university's vision, mission, and core values. Simultaneously, each and every one of you have enriched university by your valuable presence and achievements. Thank you so much for being part of this university. Let our language, both spoken and unspoken, and our actions manifest the healthy culture, discipline, commitment, and the worldview that you have imbibed from this campus. Our chief guest, Dr. Subhash, gave us an inspiring, motivating, and empowering convocation address. I think he has made a real research on the foundations of Christ University and what of things that are going on in this campus. Thank you very much, sir. Our dear VC, Father Thomas, is a visionary leader, brilliant educationalist, great administrator, challenging personality, and an exemplary religious. His vision, conviction, courage, unwavering attitude, focused mind, and holistic outlook made this university one of the most prestigious centers of learning in India. We are proud of you, Father Thomas, for your unique contribution and leadership you have given to Christ University. I do appreciate and acknowledge the entire teaching and supporting staff and the collaborators who work as a team to make Christ as a much sought after university. Congratulations to each and every one of you, my dear staff. Also, I thank you, the parents and family members, for entrusting your dear ones into our care. The university has tried its level best to do justice to your dreams. This year we celebrate the golden jubilee of our alma mater. Dear Christ eyes, you are most welcome to make it a grand success in collaboration with Mr. Jugnu, our Alumni Association President. Christ is always young and vibrant, and it will remain so ever. My dear graduates, as you go out in search of your chosen career paths and in your future endeavors, let the memories strengthen you. We believe that Christ has given you memories, experiences, expertise, and perspectives of envisioning a bright future, not just for you alone, but for your families, the people around you, and for the nation at large. Remember, perseverance is the toughest road, but the surest path to success. Let us remember an ancient quote. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Let us carry on in life with positive attitudes to create a better world for all. Sarvodaya. May the divine presence accompany you and your dear and near ones wherever you are. May God bless you. Jai Hind.
May I now request Mr. Jugnu Oberoi, the President of the University Alumni Association, to felicitate the outgoing Christites.
By God, too many speakers for my graduation day. When will this fat guy be over? So that we can click pictures with our batchmate and parents. Yes, this is exactly what I too was thinking way back in this college during my graduation too. Only that time we took black and white camera pictures with our batchmates being all guys. True. Unfortunately, it was not a co-ed college in my time. While today, you have these charming ladies dressed in the best Indian look, and that too, you take colored pictures. Jealous? Yes, I am. That's why when I met Bishop Father Kerriel, the principal who introduced co-ed in this campus in the late 1980s, I asked him, why were the fathers so harsh with us that we had an all-boys college? Plus, that was the reason I had to go across the seas to find my better half. Father smiled and replied, Jubnu, during your time and the batches after you, we found the students' attendance going down in classes while their visits to the gates of Mount Carmel and Jyoti Nivas was going up. So we fathers thought it best to bring Mounts and Jyoti into our Christ. So my Christites, that is my time in college. My friends, now lend me your ears. I stand before you as a terrified speaker, but a very proud Christite. Before I bore you with my address, we all have a duty today. The MC introduced to us our Vice Chancellor in Honorary Colonel Dr. Father Thomas. Personally, had the privilege of spending over 18 years with him, and to me can assure you all, we are very fortunate to get such a fine gentleman who has led this institution to unbelievable heights. Unfortunately, the rule of law does not give him another convocation, and this would be his last with your group. Christites, please stand and join me in giving him the loudest applause we have ever given in this auditorium. Thank you very much. I think he really deserved that. I'm also afraid my voice is going to crack, as last night, in celebration of your graduation, had a few drinks. This morning found the reason for the bad throat. The drink was good, but the ice was bad. Christites, as your senior, my first advice to you always, avoid ice in your drink. Now let me rush back to my formal, boring algebra class. Otherwise, Father VC will find me for spoiling today's decorum. The right head to lead us into our Golden Jubilee celebration, our learned Chancellor, Dr. Reverend Father George, guest of honor, Dr. Subhas, the wounded soldier on duty, our commanding officer of today's passing out regiment, Honorary Colonel of the Indian Armed Forces, Reverend Father Dr. C. Thomas, every alumni's friend and Bajrangi Bhai in Pro Vice Chancellor Dr. Abraham, respected fathers, Dr. Anil, the fine gentleman registrar, every student's enemy, as he refuses to give us any grace marks, Control of Examination Professor Johnny Joseph, our strength in this university, deans, HOD, faculty, non-teaching staff, happy parents, invitees, ladies and gentlemen, and above all, today's proud fellow graduating battalion of Christites. My namaskarams Walaikum salam, Sat Sri Akal, and a very good evening to one and all. Graduation Day is an event which every student looks forward to, for it's today one changes from a youth to a man, a girl to a woman, ready to face the challenging world on their own feet. I recall my own graduation over 40 years back, and remember we too had some fine speakers giving us some sound advice, an advice which many of us took into a pathway of life, where it helped us build our future. This day, you too have also received some great advice from speakers before me, and urge you all to keep it in mind. Let me now, as your senior, add a very small bit to their thoughts. I'm not going to remind you that your tomorrow needs hard work, etc. I'm as sure that your years in college has been grilled into every Christites. At the outset, I carry the greetings of thousands of fellow alumni or Christites who have walked out of this institution with their heads held high. Today, I just wish to remind you of two very important aspects in life, which we tend to forget, that we are Indians first, and our culture is still appreciated by the West while we try to ape them. As we grow older, we not only forget, but do not also give the due respect which society and we all need to give. The first is a fraternity which is treated like the oldest profession in the world. I'm pained to hear students tell me, but sir, I have paid my fees, so why care or remember them? Let's not forget that they have given us their entire wealth, their wealth of knowledge, and no money in this world can buy this wealth. For if it was so, each one of us would have been a Bill Gates or a Narayan Murthy. Yes, friends, I am thinking about our teachers. I will share this evening a true story of a student and his teacher. The student is yours truly, Jugnu, and the teacher was my third standard school teacher called Mrs. David. I did my schooling at Baldwin Boys, Bangalore. Mrs. David was my class teacher when I should have been 10 years or so and around 15 kgs in weight. I had not seen her since leaving school more than 50 years back, though remember, she was a pretty lady whom we all adored. A few years back, the principal of Baldwin's invited some senior alumni and requested us to plan an event as a school was celebrating 125 years. So we seniors, around 10 heads, formed a core group and planned to hold a ball at the Leela Hotel called Down Memory Lane. In this group was Akash Ryle, the current director or owner of Bethany High School, also a fellow Christites. We became friends, and I came to know Mrs. David was his mother. As we had to meet regularly, we 10 suggested each will host a dinner meet. When Akash's turn came, he offered to host it at his school. It gave us an opportunity to see his school, plus told him I would love to meet my teacher and his mother too. The day dawned, we met at his office, and after the meeting proceeded, the boys' dining room for dinner, where his mother, Mrs. David, was welcoming each one of us. Please, friends, hear this part of the story. My turn came. Akash told his mother, "Ma, this is one of your students. Do you recognize her?" For a few seconds, she looked into my face and addressed me by a name. Immediately, Akash said, "No, Ma, this is Jugnu. You must have forgotten him. It's so long back you had taught him." I stopped Akash and told him, "You're wrong, my friend. My teacher has addressed me by the correct legal name, a name which today only my bankers and auditors know, an official name with which I sign my business instruments. Jugnu is my pet name. After my education, somewhere down the line, it got stuck both in my private and official circle. Christites, the same was repeated to me around 15 years back when I honored my own teacher, Benny Sir, who taught me economics in the year 1969 in this same very college. He too addressed me by that name. What I'm trying to stress is here is a fraternity who, like our parents, never ever forget each one of their students. Then why do not we give them the due respect just to drop by and inform them the plant they have watered has given fruit? You will see a joy of happiness in their eyes. Do remember, our scriptures tell us we bow to our Guru first and then the Lord above. My Christites, later part of this evening, I urge you to spend by parting with your friends. A glass of beer or wine is also welcome, as you will shortly bid farewell to your benchmate of the last few years, for you do need to celebrate the last 15 to 20 years of hard work you have put to reach today's function. But please, before that, go home, thank the old couple as you youngsters address your dear parents. Carry a card, a rose, or a chocolate, or give them a jadoo ki jappi, or just say 2 words, thank you, and take their blessings for walking the distance with you in these last 20 years of your growth. Do recall, just at a drop of a hat, you asked your mother to wake you up at 4 a.m. to study for an exam, and the poor lady tosses, turns the whole night in fear that she may miss the alarm, wakes up much earlier, makes you that hot cup of coffee, and then repeatedly tries to wake you up. Remember the number of times your dear father quietly kept his necessities so that you could buy and enjoy some luxury during your time in college. If possible, do tell them that you will guide them in their twilight years. My fellow Christites, I do not recall if I have said these words to my parents, and even today I long to say so, but unfortunately fate has separated us. Let history not be repeated with you. Here I leave your thoughts with a very small touching story. After his father's death, the son decided to leave his mother at an old age home where he visited her off and on. One day he received a call from the old age home saying, "Your mother is very serious. Please come and visit her." So the son went and saw that his mother was very critical and on a dying bed. He asked her, "Ma, what can I do for you?" She replied, "Please, son, can you install some fans in this old age home, as there are none? Can you also put a fridge for the betterment of food?" The son was surprised and asked her, "While you were here, you never complained, but now that you have a few hours left, why are you telling me this? Why?" She replied, "It's okay, dear. I managed with the heat and the hunger, but when your children send you here, I am afraid you will not be able to bear it." My Christite, this is every parent who even in the last breath always remembers you. Then why do not we give them the due love and respect they deserve? I can go on and on giving you many stories of misdeed, but time is not today with me. In the lighter tone, coming back to your Alumni Association, I do hope you all have registered in our webpage. It's free of cost for you. Through it, you will be able to keep in touch with the activities of your association as well as the updates happening in the university campus. Particularly from July this year, we celebrate various events at the campus towards our Golden Jubilee year. I also invite any of you youngsters to join my core team and help us building the association to a greater level. Do mail me if you're keen to be a part of my team. Some of the activities like the fee concession to the needy Christites, it's very close to my heart. The Fun Fiesta, a day for faculties and staff, is in August, which will be followed by a health camp for everyone on the campus. Our AGM is in October, then we hold the very popular Alumni Family Day on 26 January in the same auditorium, which will be a huge program being our 50-year celebration. And admission to this is going to be strictly on RSVP and seat numbers. As beside the usual few thousand we get, I'm expecting alumni to come from across the countries and the world. Hence, I make sure you're registered in the web page with the right mail ID so that you can respond back for RSV and get your seats booked, placed there. I seem to have crossed my time, but before I bid you best, I would like to share a poem which my late father gave me the day I graduated. For even today, when I am in difficulty, I read it in a corner as it reminds me that I and I alone have to face the problem. He called it an odd philosophy of life. Man comes into this world without his consent, leaves it against his will, and while on earth, he is misguided and misunderstood. In infancy, he is an angel. In boyhood, he is a devil. And in manhood, he is a fool. If he has a wife and children, he is a chum. And if he is a bachelor, he is inhuman and mean. If he enters a public house, he is a drunkard. And if he stays out of it, he's a miser. If he is poor, he has no brain. If he is rich, he has all the luck in the world and is a crook. If he goes to the temple, he's a hypocrite. And if he stays away, he's a sinner. If he gives charity, it's for advertisement. If he does not, he's stingy. When he comes into this world, everybody wants to kiss him. Before he leaves this world, everybody wants to kick him. If he dies young, he had a great future. If he lives to a ripe old age, everybody hopes he's made a will. It is therefore impossible to please everybody. So do your duty, be fearless, use your common sense, which is so uncommon. And if you make mistakes, it is better than doing nothing. Hence, keep smiling. Nobody wants to hear about your troubles as they have tons of their own. Signing off, I would like to say, mere dost, kabhi alvida mat kehna. The gates of Christ University are always open for it. Jai Hind.
As you begin the next phase of your lives, let us pause and reminisce the best moments of your university life here. Ms. Manasa Iyer from BCom Honors will now try to sum up all that is going through the hearts and minds of our beloved Christites. This will be followed by the farewell song by the University Choir.
Respected dignitaries, faculty members, parents of the graduating class of 2018, and the very happy graduates seated here. A very good evening to everyone. We are here today to celebrate the end of our journey in this wonderful institution with heads held high and beaming smiles. I am certain each one of us will be extremely overwhelmed to feel the difference in ourselves from the day we entered this auditorium till today, proudly wearing the robes of wisdom, poised to step into the next phase of our learning years. Walking down the path we traversed 3 years ago, we are the gems polished here at this abode of light. Albert Einstein once said, "The value of college education is not the learning of many facts, but the training of the mind to think." True to this, our time here at Christ has taught us many things beyond academia in its unique way. There are certain attributes to the learning here that is distinguishing. The university has taught us that hard work is constant, teamwork is inevitable, and diversity is the essence of harmony. Our learning here has enabled us to broaden our horizons in thoughts and actions. Learning here was beyond the application of theories, laws, and formulas. Education in the university nurtured values, made us adaptive and dynamic, instilled a sense of social awareness, and introduced us to the world beyond the classroom, and at the same time, to remain grounded as we learn to give back to the society from what we are blessed with. The activities that we were involved in pushed us to perform at our best and rewarded us with the skills that we will confidently carry into the future. The plethora of cultural events of Darpan Blossoms and In Bloom, the intense competition at CRISPO, the heartful activities at CSA, from sharing ideas as parts of various clubs and teams, encouraging us to battle it out at various intercollegiate fests, entrusting us with the responsibility of conducting and managing events, tapping our spirit of inquiry through academic projects. These experiences were the building blocks to the proud and capable graduates that we have nurtured into. I would take this occasion to express my heartfelt gratitude to all those who played a significant role in our journey of learning. Firstly, God Almighty for gracing us with His choicest blessings. The management for providing us with a wonderful campus with the finest facilities. Father Vice Chancellor for being an inspiration to each one of us as we learn immensely from His words of wisdom. Our teachers who have made our learning seamless for guiding us in every manner possible. Our parents for their selfless love and the non-teaching and administrative staff for being supportive whenever we required their assistance. Words fall short as I elaborate on the contribution that our friends have for creating unforgettable memories and rendering support like no other. Our hearts and eyes will relive the memories ever so beautifully when we look back at the time we spent here. We will cherish our endless chatter with our fellow mates, the ardor of the college fest, celebrating a delightful Christmas on the campus, dancing our hearts out on various occasions, singing the anthem while feeling the strength of each word, the roundtable talks over lunch, the eager ring of the second bell, the jittery feeling on the announcement of the results, the vibrant processions, the enthusiastic stage events, the walkway with stalls that have something new to offer, the nervous pre-exam discussions, the untimely practice sessions, admiring the beauty of the campus, all these and many more. When we utter, "Oh, remember that time in college?" no sooner would we realize that we have amassed a treasure of many emotions that we would preserve and revere for a lifetime. As we progress in the ladder of life, we carry the treasure trove of experiences as a true Christite with each step. Our destinations are different, our goals are unique, but we have written our stories together. Our path is now woven with the knowledge we have gained and the values we have imbibed that will keep us connected always. Wishing all my fellow graduates a very bright future and my best wishes, I remain. Thank you.
Check, check.
The dreams God planted in the fertile soil of you. Can't believe the hopes He's granted means the chapter in your life is through. But we'll keep you close. Though it's hard to let you go, in the Father's hands we know that a lifetime's not too long. So live as friends.
With the faith and love God's given, springing from the home we know, we will praise the joy you live in, is the strength that now you show, and we'll keep you close as always. It won't even seem you gone, 'cause our hearts sinking in small ways will keep the love that keeps us strong.
too long to live as friends. That a lifetime's not too long to live as friends.
With the permission of the Honorable Chancellor, I now declare the convocation ceremony closed. I request Dr. Greta D'Souza, Faculty, School of Education, to deliver the vote of thanks.
It's my honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks. While congratulating all our graduates for having been conferred with their degrees and ushered into a distinguished league of their own, let me take this opportunity to thank all those who have made this convocation a dream come true. I would like to place on record my profound gratitude to Honorable Chancellor Dr. Father George Ediardil for presiding over this convocation ceremony, conferring the academic distinctions on our graduating students, your blessings and the message. For these acts of kindness, we remain grateful to you. Thank you, Father. We deem it an honor to have with us our esteemed chief guest, Dr. M.S. Subhas, Vice Chancellor, Vijayanagara Sri Krishna Deva Raya University, Bellary, Karnataka. Thank you, sir, for accepting to grace this day with your presence and the insightful address. May I request our Honorable Chancellor to present a memento to Dr. M.S. Subhas as a mark of our respect and appreciation. Our beloved Vice Chancellor, Dr. Father Thomas C. Matthew, is a guiding spirit and a leader for all of us. I take this opportunity to thank you for guiding us throughout this convocation ceremony and for your inspiring message on this solemn occasion. Thank you, Father. I immensely thank the Board of Management, Dr. Father Abraham, Pro Vice Chancellor, Dr. Anil Pinto, Registrar, Professor Johnny Joseph, Controller of Examinations, Reverend Fathers, Academic Deans, Associate Deans, Heads of Departments, Members of Faculty, Deanery of Commerce and Management, School of Education and Department of Social Work, Mr. Jugnu Oberoi, President, Alumni Association, invitees for your gracious presence and valuable patronage in organizing this ceremony. We remain grateful to Professor Franklin Triplett, Professor Emeritus, University of Mount Union, Ohio, USA, and Mrs. Ann Triplett for the institution of the St. John Baptiste de la Sala Endowment Gold Medal to the best outgoing student of education and for coming all the way from the US to witness its award. I deeply appreciate the support of all officers, the administrative staff and support staff, Student Welfare Office, volunteers, NCC cadets, Dr. Father Biju, Professor Sajina Begum, Office of Security, Mr. Rajan and his team, the University Choir, for having extended your support in organizing this memorable event. Parents, family members, and friends of today's graduates, your sacrifice, prayers, patience, and energy has culminated in our students reaching the pinnacle of their academic odyssey. We thank you for accompanying them today to make this day a memorable one. I would like to congratulate all our graduating students for making our campus vibrant with your academic endeavors and for your cooperation this evening. You leave this ceremony today with a duty to uphold the good name of this university as your alma mater. To a wonderful audience, we are most grateful to you for your presence here today to share in our joy. Thank you.
Kindly rise for the national anthem. Kindly remain standing as the dignitaries leave the auditorium, led by the registrar with the national flag, the controller of examinations with the university flag, our Honorable Chancellor, the chief guest, Honorable Pro-Vice Chancellor, the associate deans, heads of departments, and program coordinators. Once again, hearty congratulations to all our graduates. I would like to remind you to return the robes to the allotted classrooms immediately. Guests are requested to remain seated until the graduates have left the auditorium. Thank you and have a wonderful evening.